Okay, we're up to a new Gemara. Well, actually, a continuation of the old Gemara. What today is Tzadik Zayin, and we saw a machloikis between the Chachamim and the Acherim. You're going ahead and you're, I guess decanting wine would be a good way of saying it. You're taking water and you're pouring it over I said it's leads. It's really the lees. It's without the D. It's lees. And if you threw let's say, but I'm using loigen as three loigen of water onto a bunch of leaves and you get out 3 loigen, everyone would say that you make a shahakal on that. If you throw 3 loigen and you get 4 out, then everyone says you make hagafen. There's no machlokes between the Tanakam and the Acherim. Machlokes was when you put in 3, you get out 3.5. Later Tanakama, all you have is 3. You have a half of wine, and it's the ratio is a half of a third of 3, which would be a sixth. So that's not a good. That's 5 to 1. That ratio is 5 to 1. That doesn't work. And according to Acherim, if you out of the 3.5, 1 is totally wine, so it's 1, 2.5 to 1, and therefore is wine. So we're the Gemara is picking up on the bottom line. It says, when you come out and get more, do they argue? In other words, we saw someone said that even that you get 3.5, it's not considered wine. Mi pligi v'tanan, we said the following, Amid Aleph, Hamid Hamed b'nasin mayim b'mida, if you're going ahead and you're taking water and you're throwing it over shmarim, and umatzak midasai, and let's say you put in a log of water over shmarim, it came out a log of water, you pata from Maisa. I'm not speaking about the bracha. I'm not speaking about what bracha you make on it. We're speaking about whether there's a chiyuv of Maisa or not. In other words, we know there's a din of Maisa by what midiraisa. One of the chiyuv is on tirosh, is wine. So is this considered wine le'inyan Maisa? Is this considered wine le'inyan Maisa? So matame v'nas and mayim b'mida, umatzak midasa. You find the exact amount. Pata says the Tanakama, you be pata from Maisa. Rabbi Yehuda Machayev, Rabbi Yehuda says, you'll be chayev in Maisa, right? Akan lepligi elibchtei midasai. When you're getting, you put in 3 and you got out 3. Al b'yosim chtei midasai. If you get out more than 3, let's say, and you get 3.5, for example, lepligi. So it's a question on the shitas of the Chachamim. The Chachamim said that if you take 3 and you get a 3.5, you're still going to make a shahakol because it's not considered wine. Yet you see over here, you would be chayev in Maisa. Only the Chacham said, since you put in 3 and got out 3, are you part of a Maisa? Mashma, if you put in 3, even if you got 3.5, even a half more, you be chayiv in Maisa. What's the difference between Maisa and by wine? They said it's not wine. They said it's a shahako. Get out over here. If you get out more, you chayiv in Maisa. Says they would argue even 3.5. The same achloikis we have by the bracha of shahakol or hagafen, whether it's considered wine or not, we have by whether you mechayiv a meiser or not. So later chachamim, if you go ahead and put in 3 and you get 3.5, it still be pata from taking off meiser. So what's the chiddush then? Why did you learn the chiddush then by 3 and 3? Why did you tell us that? You told us the koyach of Rabbi Yehuda. That even Rabbi Yehuda, even though you're getting in the same amount that you put in, you be chayiv. That's a chid. In other words, you told me the machlekes by 3 and 3 when you could have told me the machlekes by 3 and 3.5. We wanted to tell you the bigger chiddush. Rabbi Yehuda by 3.5 is not such a chiddush that you chayiv in meiser. After all, you put in 3 waters and you're getting out 3.5. So something came out, a half more came out. It's a much bigger chiddush to say you put in 3 and you get out 3. That it's just the water, and therefore you should not be chayiv in Maisa. So therefore you told me the machloikis by 3 and 3 to go ahead and tell us the koyach of Rabbi Yehuda who says you are chayiv. Okay, but in Achinami, the same machloikis would exist by 3.5, which is the same machloikis we have between the Chachamim and the Acherim regarding what bracha you make shahakal. Is it considered water or considered wine? Boy minei Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak me Rav now, if this sounds familiar, this seems to be the machlokes we just had. If you look at Rashbam, fellas, shmorim sheish behem tam yayin mahu, shmorim that have the taste of yayin, what's the din? The birchas hayayin regarding the bracha on yayin. Ubraisa lehavi shmiale, and obviously Reb Nachman Yitzchak did not hear the brisa. Diavi shmiale hachi avalei lemeima halacha keacherim oy ein halacha keacherim. Is the halacha like the acherim that what who said it's a bari piagafen or not? Again, yesterday. Go back to earlier today's daf. Go back on the base. Harabanan. Echad sheikh tomorrow, v'echad sheikh sh'ayrim, v'echad shem yayin, v'vorch aleim shakon yebidvaroi. Acher moimrim shmarim sheishmim tam yayin v'vorch aleim bari priagafen. So what is his shaila? L'chayra, that's the acherim say. The acherim say if you take shmarim, you put water, and it tastes like wine, then it's a bari priagafen. So what's Rav Nachman Yitzchak shaila? Says the Rashbam, he never saw that machlekes. Says Rashbam, he never saw the machlekes. So what's the din? Amalei. So Reb Chia bar Ravin told him, "Misarbis chamrahu." You say it's chamra kiyua ba'almahu. It's kiyua ba'alma. It's like something that's expunged. It's not really wine. It's not really wine. I give you a very, I think, example. Once you salt meat, you have everyone of us that made a steak, and you see like the juice that comes out. That's not blood. The blood came out already. That's like juice. That's kiyuba ba'alma. So that would be, so anything that comes out was, even though it tastes like wine, it's not wine. So not like the acherim. Rabbanan. Continuation of lees and soaking things. Shmarim shel truma. You're going ahead, you're decanting, you're pouring water on top of lees from truma. Rishon, the first batch, is truma. Visheni, the second batch, is truma. In other words, the first lees is water, truma. Second one, truma. And so truma, rishon v'sheni aser. There'd be aser for a non-Yisrael to eat, for a non-Yisrael, a non-Kayin. Ushlishi muta. However, the third dilution would be permitted. The third dilution would be permitted. The shlishi would also depend. If you taste the taste of wine, it would be asar to a zar. It would be truma. If you don't taste the taste of wine, then what? It would be mutter. So he argues in the Tanakama. Tanakama says shlishi, no matter what it tastes like, is mutter for a zar, but the first two not. B'shal maisa. Now maisa, guys, here means maisa sheni. Maisa here means maisa sheni. Again, maisa rishon is eaten by the Levi. Machloikas whether it can be eaten by a non-Levi. Machloikas whether it's a machloikas Reb Meir shita. We hold like Reb Meir. In other words, the Levi can invite you to his house and you can eat this. Maisa sheni has to be eaten in Yerushalayim. So let's say you have wine that has kedushas maisa sheni, and you're pouring water over that. Does it have a din of maisa sheni that has to be eaten in Yerushalayim or not? So shal maisa. So if you read it straight, shal maisa rishon, you don't have a right pshat. Shal maisa sheni rishon. The first decantation is aser. Sheni mutter. So in other words, it's one level less than truma. By truma, the first two, 1 and 2 are asa to a zar. By maisa, only the first one has a din of maisa sheni. The second one not. Reb Meir Omer av sheni with meisin tam. Reb Meir is the same shita that he said by yayin. Says indeed here by what? By Meiser as well. Good. Vishel Hegdish. What about Shmorim of Hegdish? Shlishi Aser. Revi Mutter. So that's the most severe. Everyone would say the third decantation is Aser, and the fourth one would be Mutter. Okay, so we have three levels. Truma, the first two, and on 3 Machlaikis. Maisa Sheni, the first one, Machlaikis by the 2. Hegdish, the first 3 Asa, Machlaikis what by 4. Machlaikis by 4. Urimini, I'll ask you a stira, Shel Hegdish la'olam Asa. Hegdish, no matter how many times you decant it's Asa. V'shal Maisa la'olam Muta, and Maisa is always Muta, even the first batch is Muta. So you have 2 steers now. Stira to Maisa, where you said the first one is Asa. Stira to Hegdish, where you said the fourth one is Mutta. Says Hegdish Kasha, Maisa Hegdish. Kasha hegdish I hegdish, kasha maisa maisa. Says the Gemara, hegdish I hegdish like kasha. Kan b'kedushas haguf, kan b'kedushas damen. Say you take a bunch of grapes, and you say these grapes are for the Berek Habayis. So they have kedushas damim, but they're intrinsically not kodesh. You will be able to be paid to them. Let's say it's kedushas haguf. It's wine that's being used for the mizbeach. It's enough of that can be used to make wine for the libations, for the nisachim on the mizbeach. So when the Brisa says la'olam mitzasa, we're speaking about the more severe level of kedusha. That's kedushas haguf. That's the second Brisa. The first Brisa that said that the three is asa, but 4 is machlokes, right? That would be bedek habayis. That would answer up. In other words, the different levels of kedusha. The one that's the oilam is kedushas haguf. The one that is what is if the third is asa and the fourth is machlokes, that would be kedushas bedek habayis. Maisa nam. What was the kasha? We said maisa lo'ilam is muta. We said maisa lo'ilam is muta. Yeah, we had a brisa. The first one said the first decantation is asa to be eaten outside Yerushalayim. Like kasha, kan b'maisa vadai, kan b'maisa demai. Where it's maisa vadai, then the first one is asa to be eaten out of Yerushalayim. Where it's leads that you bought from a Amoritz, who is choshid for taking gosh trumas and maisa, and the Rabbanon rabbinically said you have to be mafish maisa. That case, any decantation would be mutter. So again, the stira kachim kedushas aguf versus kedushas bedek habayis. Kedushas agus oilam bedek habayis machlokes by 4, right? And maisa first one asa, speaking about vaday maisa sheni. It's the first one mutter, the maisa sheni. Okay, now we know that in order for food to be mekabel tuma, it needs hechshera, one of 7 liquids, which it was the acronym Yad Shochat Dam. Yud is for yayin, Dalet is for dam, Shochat is shemen, Cholav, Tal, Dam, Dvash, and Mayim. So if any one of those 7 liquids falls on a foodstuff, and remember, guys, that he has to be nicha, he has to be happy, ki yitain, but it's reading ki yutan. So we need yitain similar to yitain. Just like yitain, he's happy, he puts it on it. So to yutan, if it goes on by itself, he's happy. Good. So now, the same achloikis we have over there would be over here. Now, the shaila over here is what, guys? If, let's say, just for argument, the truma, the first one, the second one has a din of yayin. The third one has a din of mayim. That's what we're discussing. So we'd say that over here, if the first decantation falls on foodstuff, it's now mukhshel kabel tuma. If the second decantation falls on foodstuff, it's mukhshel kabel tuma. If the third one falls on, then according to the Tanakama, it would not be mukhshel. Now here's the question. I just told you that Yad Shochat Dam, whether it's Mayim, whether it's Yayin or Mayim, it's going to be Machshir Libkabel Tuma. My nafkamina. Bishleima le'inyan Meiser, if it's Yayin, Yimachuyev. Bishleima le'inyan Truma, if it's Yayin, Yimachuyev. Bishleima Nesachim, if it's Yayin. But if it's water, you're not. And you're telling me the same achloikis that we have by Truma and Maisa and Kachim, we have the same achloikis here by Hechsha. The kasha is Hechsha Mimanim Shach. If it's wine, it works. It's one of the 7 liquids. If it's Mayim, it's one of the 7 liquids, right? So what's my nafkamina? Either way, the food's going to be roy l'kabel tuma. And the answer is, fellas, is that in order for Mayim to be Makabel, here's the Chiddush of Rashbam. There is a difference between the liquids. Mayim, you need that you're happy that it's there. By Yayin, you don't. So that would be the nafkamina. That would be the nafkamina. If there's a shame Yayin, it would be Mukhshar. If there's a shame Mayim, it would not be Mukhshar. That's nafkamina. Let's see the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yetzadeh. Kiderach shamu le'inyan isurim, kach amru le'inyan hechsherim. Now hechsherim demai. I demaya echshuri machshrei. I dechamra echshuri machshrei. What difference does it make? Whether it's water or whether it's wine, it's going to do the job. It's going to be machshrei lekabel tuma. Says in Rabbi Tzricha, shetamdu b'meikah shaman. It's not speaking about mayim that you took and decanted it. It's speaking you had the leads and it rained. Now, guys, what happens if it rains upon your crops? Is it mukshel kabel tuma? No, remember Bab Mitzia, Elam Mitzias. You have to be happy. You have to show the nichale. You have to show you're happy with that. So the teretz is, you know what? If the water fell on it and it decants it, if it has a shem truma, shem yayin, then it's mukshel kabel tuma. But if it has a shem mayim, it's not. Why? Because I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't nichale with it. Says the Gemara, "V'kivin the kashakal v'rami lehu lemana achshavinu." The havamina is you took the rainwater and you poured it. So says the Gemara, obviously, if you decanted it, you must be that what? You're happy with it. Your action of taking the rainwater and throwing it on the leaves show you're happy. So no nafkamina between mayim and wine. Like tzricha shenitamim me'elav. You didn't throw it on it. It went by itself. The rainwater came down, landed on the kli that had the leaves in it, and it decanted by itself. Says the Gemara, "V'kibin the kanugid kama achshavinu." Now, obviously, we've been counting the decantations, right? We said the first one, yeah, the second one, not. So when he went ahead, even though the water went in memela, when he took it out of the bottom after it decanted, right, l'chayra, that action shows he's happy. So again, there won't be a nafkamina between mayim and wine. His good, the rainwater fell down on it, and he wasn't happy with it going in, but going out by him going ahead and taking it, he shows he's happy with it. The nichale. So again, right to the same question: my nafkamina, whether you call it mayim or you call it wine. You didn't take it out. You had a cow there, and the cow drank it. So therefore, if it's wine, it would be muksha. If it's not wine, that remains. Again, that remains. If it's wine, it's muksha. If it's mayim, it's not. Amrav sucha batov yamarav. Ein oimrim kiddush hayoim el al hayayin haroy lenasech hagam mizbeach. Says Rav a rule. In order to make kiddush on wine, it has to be wine that's roy to lie bait on the mizbeach. The rest of the daf is going to be this sugya, guys. So we all know that there's a mitzvah zachar Yom Shabbos lekadsho. There's a mitzvah of kiddush. There's a machloikis rishonim whether the mitzvah of wine is midrabon or midaraisa. That's a machloikis. But we all go ahead and make kiddush on wine if we have wine. What wine is roy for kiddush? What wine is roy for kiddush? It's wine that you could go ahead and be menasech on the mizbeach to be one of the nesachim. That's Rav's rule. Now, obviously, every rule comes to exclude something that's yotze from the rule. So the rest of the daf is going to be spent on what is the thing what is Rav coming to go ahead and exclude from this rule that includes, that says anything that you can do nisach, you can make kiddush on. What does it come to exclude? Good. That's going to be the rest of the daf. So Amrav Zuch Batuv Amrav Einon Kiddush Hayoim Ela Hal Yayin Haroy Lenasech, only on Yayin that's roy to go ahead and be menasech. That's the only one. Let's see Rashbam here. 3 lines up from the bottom. Einon Kiddush Hayoim Mishum Hakriveu No Lepechasecha. This is a pasuk. Would you go ahead and offer this to your governors? It's a rhetorical question. Meaning, if it's not such a fine thing, how you wouldn't offer it to your governors, so don't offer it to the Rabbi Shalom. Kidal Kamon. Ubiyayin avari haroi levorach lov by priagafen kamar. This rule of Rav is that it's yayin that you could make a bracha by priagafen. The afagav the machina love by priagafen lekiddush hayom mi lechashiv. Even though it's roy to make a bracha by priagafen, nonetheless it's not chashiv to make kiddush on it. What does it count to be mamayit? So I'll share with you a note brought down here by the Vishinam Tom. He says the following. So he's answering, what's the connection, fellas, between Kiddush and Nisach Hayayin? Why does one have to depend upon the other? That's his rule. In order to be roy for Kiddush, it's got to be roy for Nisach. What's the connection? So says the Kivin Shekiddush Hayoim Hu Kimay Shira. He quotes a Shiltis in Yisro. The Shiltis from Rabbi Chaygoin says that when you're Mekadesh, you're saying Shira Ta'Kodesh Baruch Hu. Ve'ein oimim Shira el al yayin. Shira in the Beis Hamikdash was said only by wine. It's Gemara and Brachas. Mishum she'ein alavim oimim shir shel karbin the Beis Hamikdash. The Levim would not sing shir of the karbin in the Beis Hamikdash. Ela kishem naskrim niskri hamizbeach. Only b'shas the nisuch. So when they were doing this sachim in the Beis Hamikdash, that's when the Levim would say shira, and we saying kiddush is us. Says the Shiltis is us saying shira ta'Kodesh Baruch Hu. L'chein yayin shepasal in the sachim pasal kiddush. Yayin which you could not go ahead and do the sachim with would be pasal kiddush. Kimin sheinoim alav shira shel nisrei mizbeach. This is borne by the Gilyoni Hashas Rav Yosef Engel. So very interesting, very geschmack. Everything in this world, by doing its purpose, is saying shira ta'Kodesh Baruch Hu. For example, when Yeshua stopped the sun, the Medrash says, Yeshua says to the sun, stop. The sun, the Malach and the sun said to Yeshua, why do I have to listen to you? You know, I'm older than you. And Yeshua said to the son, does not an old Eved have to go ahead and listen to a young master? After all, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Avram Avinu Kona Shemayim V'aretz. Right? So therefore, so said the son, okay, I will stop, but if I stop, who's going to sing Shira? Meaning, by its fulfilling its tafkid, the sun by shining, it's fulfilling its purpose creation, which is what everyone's supposed to do. That's the shira to Hashem, doing what you're supposed to do. Said Yeshua to the sun, Shemesh begivayin doim, v'yareach be'emek ayelon. What's the Shemesh begivayin doim? Be silent. You be silent, I'll sing shira. And I'll sing shira. See? And that's this week's Parsha Azinu is the shira ta'Kodesh Baruch Hu. Right? The shira Satira. Shira by Shabbos, by we making Kiddush, Zachar Hashem Shabbos the Kasha. We're saying Shira. What's a Shira? By keeping Shabbos. You know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh day. It's a testimony that every Jew, by keeping Shabbos, is saying a testimony now to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, belief in Hashem, and believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. And there's no Avodah Zarah and so on and so forth. And there's no Kadmus, the idea of Kadmus with that came before. And that's the shir we sing by going getting yayin. So very beautiful Gilyoni Hashas fellas, based upon the Shiltis, is the connection between the shira of Shabbos by saying Kiddush to the Nesachim, which only said B'shas the shira of the Levium. The Levium would say shira when you did Nisach Hayayin. The Mela, we have a beautiful connection between why the only wine you can make Kiddush on is one that's right for Nisach Nisach. The very bloggable material, very geschmacka connection between the two. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. So now, Lemute Mai, the rest of the daf guys, what are we being Mayat that you can't use for Nisach so you don't make Kiddush on? That's yayin that didn't ferment yet. Yayin that didn't ferment yet. V'hatani Reb Chia, yayin megisa lo yavi. Lichatchila, you should not bring yayin that didn't ferment yet for nisuch. V'im havi, but if you do bring it b'di'evet, it's kosher. V'kivin them heavy kosher, ananafilu lechatchila. In other words, for the mizbeach, b'di'evet is good. The b'di'evet for the mizbeach is by us kiddush lechatchila. Lechatchila, you could use it. In other words, if it's accepted b'di'evet on the mizbeach, lechatchila, you can use it for kiddush. So that can't be what it's coming to Mimayit. It can't be that it's coming to Mimayit wine that didn't ferment. And he says, in addition, the Amar Rava, Soichet Adam Eshkol Shel Anavim, a person can squeeze grapes into a cup, v'oimim alav kiddush hayoim. So Yaya Megisa is not fermenting. Over here, you take grapes, you make grape juice, guys. You make grape juice. You can go ahead and make kiddush on grape juice. This, guys, by the way, guys, is a sauce for making kiddush on grape juice, by the way. Big Shaila, can you make kiddush on grape juice? This is the sauce they bring. It says, oh, yeah. Yes,
Does
Kenny?
Kiddush Hayom mean the day Kiddush or even the night Kiddush?
Just the night Kiddush. The Kiddush during the day is
Right,
Kiddush
okay.
Rabbanan. That's Kiddush, we call it Kiddush Rabbah. It's the Kiddush of Rabbah. Rabbah is the one who instituted it. It's Kiddush Rabbanan. This is Kiddush Layon. The rate over here, guys, is can you use it for Dalet Kaisis? So from here, you could see you could use grape juice for what? For Kiddush. Can you use grape juice for Dalet Kaisis or not? Dalet Kaisis, the Gemara in Pesachim Kuf Ches says that in order to be Yaitza, there's two dinim. There's a din when you drink wine that is chai. When you're drinking wine that's undiluted. They used to dilute it again, 3 parts water to 1 part wine. So if you drink raw wine, you would be Yaitza Dalet Kaisis, but you wouldn't be Yaitza Cheres. There's a mitzvah of Cheres. And the Rashbam says over there that the mitzvah should be Shlema. So even over here, if you're bringing a raya that you could use grape juice, that's only for Kiddush. It's not necessarily for Dalet Kaisis. Now, most of the poskim hold Dalet Kaisis, it is good. The one poskim who says it's not good is Rav Moshe Feinstein. Rav Moshe Feinstein paskin from a Gemara in Nedarim. You might remember the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda's face was shining, and this Matronisa of Rome said to him, "Are you drunk?" So he goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You drunk?" He goes, "I drink the Dalet Kaisis on Pesach, and I have a headache until what? Until Shavuos." Says Rav Moshe, it was permitted to drink non-alcoholic wine, grape juice. Why did Rabbi Yehuda go ahead be drinking it, right? And get a headache? Let him drink the wine, drink grape juice, and not get a headache. That's Rav Moshe's raya. So any person who wants to be Yaitza, the Dalet Kaisis, according to Moshe Poskim, you can be Yaitza with grape juice. According to Rav Moshe, you cannot be Yaitza, and therefore that's the raid over here in the sugya. So this is the source for Kiddush, but there's a distinction between Kiddush and Dalet Kaisis, being that Dalet Kaisis is okay. This, by the way, I listened to Rabbi Swilly Bornstein, my favorite muse, said he brought in this raid. It's very nice. Says the Gemara Vaita. The Ella, so it can't be grape juice. You're not being my grape juice. The Ella l'mu'udei mi piha u'mishuleha. Now it seems wine at the top of the wine there was like a mold. I think they call it like white moldy the dirt schmutz. On the bottom you had the sediment. So we want to say you can't make kiddush on these two things, on wine that's skimmed off the top or the bottom of the barrel, literally the bottom of the barrel, because you're going to get not superior wine. So let's remember at that. Since you can't use that on the mizbeach, you shouldn't be able to drink wine, but make kiddush on it. So you see that you shouldn't use it for nisach, but if you do, it's good. The mela, if it's good, b'di'eved, then lechatchil, it's going to be good for kiddush. So Rav can't keep mimayit the top of the barrel and the bottom of the barrel. The ella lemute yayin kushi, black wine, boirik, white wine, halistirin, sweet wine, shel martef, wine that you didn't get a chance to check out. Remember, there's 10 barrels that aren't good if you buy 100. Or according to Rabbeinu Gershom, yayin that's sold b'chanus, we said it's beginning to spoil. Good. B'shel simukim, or raisin wine. So all these things would be excluded from making kiddush because you can't bring them on the mizbeach. But Tanya, b'kulon le'yavi, all of these b'di'evet, you can't bring them. Then havi, but if you do bring them, kosher, then it would be kosher. So what do you see? This can't be what Rav is coming to exclude. The ela lamute yayin kaises, yayin again, yayin kaises that is beginning to sour, mazug or diluted wine, megula, wine that was left open where a snake possibly could have gone ahead and drank from it and left its venom in there. Vishel shmarim, or wine that is made from shmarim, leaves, usharechera, and wine that stinks. All these would not be permitted on the mizbeach, so you wouldn't be able to make kiddush. Yayin reach ro, here Rashbam says it was stored. It's not reach ro means it was good wine that was stored in a barrel that was miastic and it got a bad odor. The Tanya, the kulon layavi, all of these we just mentioned you shouldn't bring. Vim heavy, and if you bring them puzzle, then these will be puzzle to be nesachel. So pashtus, you can exclude all of these from what? From making kiddush. Now the Gemara will go through one by one and see what if that's true. if this list of things that are possible in the Sachim would not be able to be used for Kiddush Hayom. Lemute mai, ilemute kaises, if it's lemute wine that's beginning to sour, that's plucked at the Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yochanan said you make agafen on it. Rabbi Yeshua said you make it, it's like vinegar, and you make a shahakal on it. So Ben Levi, Yeshua Ben Levi. So l'chayra, based upon that Gemara that we saw, Mitzvah Shabbos, based upon that Gemara. So l'chayra, let Rabbi Yochanan you would be able to use it, and let Rabbi Yeshua Ben Levi you wouldn't be able to use it. Says the Gemara, ilim udei mazug, if it's diluted wine, that you shouldn't be able to make kiddush from diluted wine. Hold on, iluye ilaya, it's the best thing to be used for kiddush. Dam Rabbi Yosi Reb Chanina, moedu chachamim Reb Eliezer, b'koy shel bracha, shem mevarchen alav at sheyitin l'taychei mayim. You can't make a bracha on it until you put wine in it. So good, you can't use it on the mizbeach, but they still will you want kosher for kiddush. So Rav could not have possibly meant wine that was diluted, and he couldn't have meant yayin that began to sour, because that was a machlokes between Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Yochanan. Ilim ute megula. What about to be mayat wine that was left open? Says no, sakana. That's a sakana. You can't make kiddush on that. You may end up drinking venom. We always have that shiloh, like l'chayra. Venom is only a problem if it enters your bloodstream, not if you eat it, drink it. Okay. Ilim ute shel shmarim. Now, if it's going to be mayat shmarim, now hekidami. So you decanted it. Iderama tilsa v'asa arba. If you put in 3 loig and came at 4, kamra ma'al yehu. Everyone holds that's good, and you would even be able to put that on the mizbeach. On the mizbeach. Iderama tilsa v'asa tilsa. If l'chayri came upalga, you put in 3 and came out 3.5. That's the machlokes between the Tanakam and the Acherim. Pluk the Rabbanan v'Acherim. Only like the Acherim would be good, but not like the Chacham. Elalamute shereachra. You know what it comes to exclude? If it's stored in a barrel and has a bad smell, then you could not make kiddush on it. That's what Rav is coming to say. Why? Would you bring such a gift to the governor? So certainly you don't bring it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you don't make kiddush on it. It would be mamayit wine that was left out where snakes possibly can get it. The afagov the avrel b'misanenes. And even if you went ahead and you put it through a strainer, we said, and the venom will go ahead and be strained out. So it's not a sakana. Nonetheless, you would not be able to go ahead and make kiddush on this. Kreb Nechemia. Would you bring this to your governors? Would they want it, or would they turn favor to you? So in other words, this is a davar ma'as. That's what the Rashbam meant, fellas. The Rashbam gave you a little hint at the beginning of the sugya, right? Even though you make a bari piyagafen on these things, since they're davar ma'as, you cannot go ahead and bring them. Okay. Look at the Rashbam. Right before it gets wide, count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. V'hachi kamarav. Eina mekiddush hayoyim ela ala yayin naki. You don't make kiddush on wine that's clean. V'chagun sheroylin nasech machmas nekiyusay. That it's roy to go ahead and libate because of its cleanliness, its purity. Agabe mizbeach. V'yosir rav lemute b'hai klal shar yenois shemin naschim agabe mizbeach. He's not coming to exclude other ones that you can't put on the mizbeach. Going yayin kaises, wine that's beginning to sour, umazug or diluted wine. Those you could make kiddush on. These 2, the one that tzreach ra, or 2, it was megula. They're possible because of their miyaskite. So it's the psulin nisuch mishum akriveu no lepechasecha. Would you be bringing this to your governor? The psulin nami lekiddush mishum high time legufa, for the reason of it's hakminayim no lepechasecha. You wouldn't bring this to what? To your governor. Don't bring it to the Rabbi Shalom. Don't make kiddush on it. Guys, good? So Rav is constantly mayat those 2 things. They have to go the whole daf. The 2 things he constantly mayat is reach ra and megula that had been through a strainer. And you don't have a sakana problem, you just have a miyas problem. Boimine Rav Huna Chamua, the Rav Mishashia me Rava. Rav Kahana, the father-in-law of Rav Mishashia, asked from Rava, Chamu Chivrayan Mai. What's the din of white wine? The Rashbam learns for Nisuch. Now, obviously, above we said white wine bid the eved's good, so he didn't hear that brisa. Guys, look at the way the Rashbam learned. 4 lines from the top. 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yayin kushi boirik. You shouldn't bring it, but if you do, it's okay. So obviously, they didn't hear this brisa because boirik was saying is lavan. We're saying it. So that's the way the Rashbam learns, that they didn't see that brisa. For the second time, a brisa was not said because of a shaila. Very interesting, not common. Back in the Gemara. So Amalei al teira yayin kiyas adam. Right? It should be again for nisuch. You should only use red wine. For nisuch, you should only use red wine. Again, Linyan halacha is very, very interesting about. We know that wine that's mavushal can't be put on the mizbeach. So that leads to the shaila that wine that's mavushal can you use for kiddush? We paskin you could. There are people. I'm one of them that is makbid by the Daled Koises to use A, red wine for this reason, and B, wine that's not mavushal for this reason. In other words, you want a Daled Koises comes once a year. You want to be yotza, the chol deyos is red wine. Now, I taught in a girls' school for many years for people who can't drink wine. Many girls cannot drink wine. So I told them to take that the blue bottle, it's white, and if you makbid on red, first put a little grape juice in, and then pour the white on top of it, so you won't be tzoveya. You won't be taking the red into the wine, and then you'll be able to drink it. It's very easy drinkable, and it's better than drinking grape juice. Again, at least like Rav Moshe, you'd be yotza. Okay, so this is the Pesach rate. Baita. Kankan b'sharoin. We said the kankan and sharoin, 100 barrels. You have to accept petit size. Now, what's petit size? Petit size does not mean cracked barrels. It means nois, good barrels. They had to be go ahead. You had to line them with pitch in order to go ahead and ensure that they're soluble. That they go ahead and they would hold things inside. So it doesn't mean you don't have to accept if you buy 100 barrels. You don't have to accept 10 cracked barrels. You just have to 10 barrels that were fixed up in order to allow them to hold wine.